Before we begin labeling maps, it's important that we go over a few general rules that we have so that it becomes easier and easier to do as the semester rolls on. I've included the worksheet Labeling Maps. This is in your notebooks, and you should use this all year long to refer to if you forget how to label maps. The first thing we want to remember is that neatness is critical. You need to use these maps to study from on a regular basis. That's why our first rule is always print on the map. Sometimes our cursive, we might remember it when we're in class, but when we get out, it's a little sloppy. Rule number 2 deals with rivers and bodies of water. We use blue to indicate any of these. If you look at the video on the right side of the screen, you can see that I've labeled the East China Sea and the Pacific Ocean, the Korean Strait, and the Sea of Japan. The whole map isn't blue, just the name of the body of water with some waves and a shade of blue around it. Our third rule deals with cities. We will label cities with a simple dot unless it is a capital city or national capital. A capital city gets a star, and the national capital gets a star with a circle around it. Please write the name of the city as straight as possible. You can see in the video that when we label Tokyo, I will draw a star, circle it, and write the name Tokyo as straight as possible. If you can't write it on the map, draw a line out and extend it so that you can see it clearly. For countries and states, rule number 4, we need to use a couple other rules. We will capitalize all the letters in a country's name or a state's name. For the map we're working on with Japan and the Koreas, notice how I capitalize all the letters in Japan, I keep the name inside the boundary, I write it as straight as possible, and I underline and highlight the name as well. The boundaries of a map, though different for every map, are typically black. The boundaries for water are typically blue. You can see here that the boundaries for North and South Korea are drawn with black lines. Most maps will also have a map key or legend. For this unit, ours does not. But keep in mind that we do have a compass on the map as well. When coloring maps, we follow our rules that we talked about in class. You only need 4 colors. There are 2 ways to color the different countries on our maps. If you look at the video, you'll see what those 2 ways are. You may choose to do an outline of the country, as I'm doing right now. Using the green, I outline the inside boundary as neat as possible. I'm rushing a little bit, so it's not as neat as I would like. The second way to do that, the second way to color a country in, is by shading the entire country a single color. In this case, purple. Please keep in mind, if you are going to label country names and cities, coloring in the entire country may prove difficult to study from later. Earlier in the video, I briefly mentioned physical and political labels. On the back of the map, and on the back of every map, we will typically give you the list of things you need to label. You can see here we have 2 columns, column 1 and column 2. Column 1 deals with physical map labels. Column 2, political map labels. Anything that is listed must be labeled. As you go through the map, you will want to check off each thing that you've labeled. For instance, when I find the map and I find North Korea and label it, I should immediately turn back and check off North Korea. After labeling South Korea, I would do the same. This lets me know what I've labeled and what I need to label. You can see that on my map, I've put little waves around Sea of Japan, a triangle by the Mount Fuji, a star with a circle by Seoul, and a dot by Nagasaki. There's a reason and rhyme to this. There needs to be different labels on your map. Take a look at the drawing on the right side of the screen here. This was on the board the other day. We talked about water. Instead of coloring the entire map blue where water is, we're just going to put the name of the body of water in the middle and little waves around it. We will shade that blue on the map. For a mountain peak, such as Mount Fuji, what we're going to do is include a black triangle. For mountains, such as we'll see in Canada, like the Rocky Mountains or the Cascade Mountains, we'll put the name of the mountain range in the middle of these carets. We will shade them brown. Cities, as we said earlier, get a dot, capital cities get a star, and national capitals get a star with a circle. Since we're talking about countries specifically and not states in this unit, we will probably use just a star with a circle around it. For instance, Tokyo, Seoul, and Pyongyang should have a star with a circle around it. Countries are always all caps, highlighted, and underlined. Your end product should look something like this. Notice we follow the coloring rules. Countries that touch each other cannot be the same color. We spoke earlier about the boundaries. Our boundaries will typically have black lines that separate the two countries. We also spoke about making sure that a country is one single color. Japan is an archipelago, meaning it's a group of islands, so all of these islands must be colored the same color. Notice, with the bodies of water, like the Yellow Sea, the East China Sea, the Korean Strait, the Sea of Japan, and the Pacific Ocean, I did not color the entire map blue. Instead, I just shaded in the body of water itself. Please be as neat as possible. This map is designed to help you study for the test that you will have. The test will be a mental map, meaning you're going to have to draw in the countries and label it. If you don't have a neat map, it's going to be very difficult to study for. If you have any further questions on how to label a map, please see me or Mr. Scrignoli, and we'll help you out. Thanks.